organized by our beloved Association of Professional Technicians and Technologists, known as APTT. My name is Kismet Anak, the moderator for today's session. And I would like to introduce our today's presenter, Dr. Evan Lapohock. He is actually our colleagues in UNIMAS, currently serving as Associate Professor in the Faculty of Economics and Business, FEB, University Malaysia Sarawak, UNIMAS. He obtained his Doctor of Philosophy in International Economics, Master in Economics, Bachelor in Economics from University Putra Malaysia, UPM, in 2005, 2001, and 1999, respectively. He was the Deputy Dean, Research and Postgraduate at the Faculty of Economic and Business, 2016-2017. The Director of Center for Business, Economic and Finance Forecasting, UNIMAS, 2013-2016. He was also a visiting scholar at the Faculty of Economics at Cambridge University from October 2013 to April 2014. Visiting professors at Universitas 11 Maret, if I'm not mistaken, in Indonesia, and Universitas Alam Wuruk. I believe this university is from Indonesia. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Evan. He also selected for the World Class Professor program by the Ministry of Education and Culture, Indonesia, 2020 and 2021. He also a visiting researcher fellowship for the Central Bank of Malaysia in May 2021. He holds several editorial positions in numerous international journals. He been also keynote speaker at numerous international conferences in many countries such as Indonesia, UAE, Sri Lanka, Italy, India, Philippines, of course, our beloved country, Malaysia. He provides lectures, consultations, and supervision to students and receive positive evaluation from both undergraduates and postgraduate. As of today, his journal articles publication more than 100 publication. He has also 90 research papers published as in chapters book, conference proceeding, working papers, newsletters, and newspaper articles. Very active young researcher, young professor. He also has edited books published in Springer. His excellence in research brought him several awards with winning awards, including the Young Researcher Awards in UNIMAS, Excellent Service Award, Research Medal from Expos, Research Expo, Best Papers, and also High Impact Journal Paper Awards. As of today, he has published, in terms of supervision, as of today, he has 73 postgraduate students under his supervision and examined more than 60 postgraduate theses, more than 100 undergraduate research papers. As an active researcher, he has been awarded about 28 research grants. He was listed among the top 9% of economists in Malaysia since 2008 and top 10% in Asia since 2012 by a research paper in economics database. He is among the highest cited author in UNIMAS. Very active young professor. As of today, topic, for our webinar entitled Digitalization and Pandemics Charting the Future. So we'll presented by Associate Professor Dr. Evan Lapohock. Okay, for those who just joining us, welcome to our webinar. Just a little housekeeping, perhaps before we start. Kindly be reminded that please mute your mic at all time and switch off your cameras, and perhaps recording is not allowed without our association permission. If you do have any question during the presentation, please type your question in the chat box. Our team will compile all the question and we will bring it up at the end of the session. Therefore, without further ado, we will turn the time over to our presenter, Associate Professor Dr. Evan Lapohock, to give the seminar. Over to you, Dr. Evan.
Okay, let me. I'm not sure whether you can see the screen here.
Yes, we do.
Okay, yeah, but I can't see myself in the camera. Think.
Oops. Oops.
Thankful and honored to be invited by this, especially by the APTT, has been mentioned just now. Thank you for Associate Professor Technologies, Dr. Kismet, for introducing, for have a very long introduction of myself, which I think is an honor actually to be here to with most of I mean with all of you here, especially the technologists here. I'm not the technologist. I mean, maybe perhaps my the field that I'm doing perhaps do not qualify me to be part of it, but there's some application work perhaps in the future that can I mean work together and so on, right? So right, let me just put up my slides here. I hope everyone can see my thing. I can see my screen right now here. Let me. Okay, right, and then thank you very much again for especially for the opportunity here. I hope some part of it, if you have any question, anything that you want to ask, you always can drop the question as we mentioned. And this is just a sharing. I'm not an expert on this of this particular thing also, but something that I want to share on that perspective. How we going to because this is what everyone is facing right now, and still we are facing it. And this is two parts of a very important issue that have been mentioned for the past few years, and try to link that with sustainable development goals, try to link that also with what we can do perhaps from that point of view, especially all of you here as a technologist, what we can, how we're going to chart I mean the future post-pandemic or post-digitalization, when these two things come together. Right, so these are the menu that I'm going to discuss a little bit for today. I'll try to have about half an hour perhaps, and then after that you can certainly ask anything that the question that you want to ask. Right? So the first part, this just the infographic of myself. I don't want to go in detail on that part. Right, so this is the abstract that I wrote that is very much related to what I'm trying to mention here. How to link digitalization or together with the recent pandemic, certainly, and how this fit in into something that I call as VUCA, an era or the environment of VUCA, of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. I'll go into that little bit of detail. What is VUCA? Right. So I believe this is what I believe. I believe that we are living in the VUCA world today, not just because of the pandemic. Even before the pandemic, we have been living in such a situation, especially when the world before the pandemic, when we talk about digitalization, when we talk about technology revolution, we talk about the 4.0, IR 4.0, and so on and so on. They actually, we are already living in that particular world. But now we are living we have been there, and we're still inside this particular situation today. We are living in the VUCA world. What is VUCA? It's actually where the situation, this have been from the academic point of view, but from the practical point of view, you can see that the VUCA are actually the combination of the word of volatile. So it's a quite an interesting scenario that we have right now, very volatile. The growth, the economy itself can be volatile, the business can be volatile, the world itself can be very volatile. Today it happens as such, tomorrow it happens in such a way. So volatile in that sense, related to uncertainty, because uncertainty also very much related to what we have also happens, whether globally, in the country, outside the country, to our business, to our in any sectors that involve with or without the pandemic. I always say that. And complexity, the issue can be very complex at certain point of view, right? Can be very complex. Sometimes it's complex, sometimes it's not as complex, but because of the volatility, because of the uncertainty, things can become very complicated, and very complex in that sense. And it's a lot of ambiguity ahead of the road. So we need the kind of a non-linear solution, not a linear solution anymore. We have to think that what been always said, that think out of the box, not just out of the box right now, but think beyond the box itself, or create a new box by itself. Right. So this was again not made popular by me, but it has been said around of VUCA. What is VUCA? And the numbers of, especially numbers of leaders, business leaders especially, and not just the theoretical point of view, numbers of leaders look at that point of view, how we're going to solve, how we're going to use, for example, volatility, the firm, the company, the business, the leaders, the politician, those lead should have a vision, or should have vision in that sense down here, should have vision. And for you, uncertainty, you must understand what is the issue, what's the uncertainty that happened. For complexity, you must have a clarity. This is kind of wording also for solution. But this is, again, there's a lot of issues also behind that, how we're going to look at that particular scenario. It can apply into any types of scenario, whether you are in business perspective, whether it's from consumer point of view, or from the economy point of view, from political point of view, and so on and so on and so on. So this is what been discussed again and again by a lot of leaders, right? Talking about volatility, one ahead, that they, other than vision, you must have visibility, means that must be agile, must be proactive in decision making. Surely that's what they try to build, the business leaders, especially in that particular sense. And uncertainty is that unlimited possibility, with, especially with technology, with unconstrained, right? That's where digitalization come into picture. And complexity also, they try to link that to digitalization, where there's a connectivity, collaboration is very important within and internal and external. We can't work in silo, we can't work alone today in the world. We must have some certain types of collaboration, and we must have different sets of collaborative partners, and so on and so on, to solve it together, right? In that sense. And ambiguity, part of the leaders propose, can use AI in that sense, automated, which I'm sure all of you who are much more familiar than myself, especially on the side of perhaps on the engineering side, or or very much related to that particular field or technology side of how AI would be able to promote a much more better world that we're living today, right? So that is part of VUCA that I see that not just even I mean I've been saying I've been preaching on this VUCA since before the pandemic, and the pandemic hit. I mean, when talk about digitalization, when I talk about digital revolution, there's a hit towards, and another hit right now is certainly the pandemic. But what's after this? Right? What's after? The question is that what we can do after this, especially on that particular perspective, right? Let me move ahead. This is rather interesting. I'm sure most of you remember this because my second title is about the rise of the machine. That's linked to digitalization, that links to the machine. And for me, this is part of literature review. I'm sure everyone sitting in this particular webinar today, I remember this, Arnold, or in certain particular time you might watch this. This sounds very fictional 30 years ago, but today it seems to be a reality. It's no longer fictional. 30 years back, it seemed to be fictional. We see robots coming from the future to tell us what is going to happen, and so on and so on. I mean, the movie plot just to lessen this thing down, just a natural thing. So, and one of the title on Terminator actually is the rise of the machine. That's what we see today on how machine, perhaps, and how this internet revolution or technological revolution have perhaps in the future or in the very near future, when AI, I mean automation and so on already come in place 100%, when we have driverless car, when we have everything connected, and we do not need really human, it's a human, then we are there. We are going into that particular direction today, with all this meta, in that sense, meta world that we are living in. We are doing. I mean, the world is going into that particular direction. So that's why I bring this. It's a very important literature review for everyone to remember from academic point of view, but from reality point of view. Where does it started? Started perhaps in the movie, but the movies bring back to reality today. Not to say, I mean, what's happening. So this was perhaps also 30 years ago, or somewhere there where we play this game like a Pac-Man game. But today, perhaps the kids today might not, or the generation Z today, or Alpha perhaps, or other than that, one might not know what is this. Right? I hope some know this, because I mean, this was happening some times ago. This is how the revolution, and this is what part of it that perhaps we played some years ago when it come out in the 80s, in the 90s. And this is another important review of literature, that you do not forget that what happened. And I put that Terminator and Matrix as a very important literature. And today, it become not just a very important guideline in the movie, but also to reflect the reality that what we have today in terms of digital revolution. What we have today, where are we right now towards that particular direction? We are talking about Internet of Things, and where all these device that we have are connected with each other. The IoT, again, I'm sure every one of you are much more familiar than myself. How are they being connected with each other? How are they talking to each other? Whether this one talk to the other one, the other machine talk to the other machine, and so on. And so we are living in this particular metaverse or meta world that we are living, that where the machine are talking to the other machine without human intervention, in that sense, right? There are and in the and we can, I'm sure that everyone might know that in the very near future, this would happen more and more, right? And And how would this change? So this was what I say. This was even before the pandemic. This was there, but now with the pandemic, what happened? With the pandemic, what's going to be for the next day? So that's my second part. The rest of the machine is already there. The revolution is already there, and the world, everyone is keep looking into that particular direction, especially. And we try to digitize everything that we have. Digitization and digitalization. Digitalization is more towards the process. Digitization is to digitize the things that we have, including ourselves, our self, human self. We are having, having this online class, especially if we are in education, not just education, even we do so in the meetings. Perhaps sometimes we ask our avatar to attend the meeting, avatar itself. Or we put some not our face there, we put some other face that represent us, or not even us there. So things are going into that particular direction again, as I said. And with the advancement of technological, we are moving into that particular direction, right? Perhaps some might want to comment later on this part. Part number 3 that I'm going to share a little bit shorter here will be how actually this, at first, the digitalization, how it actually would impact, and especially with the pandemic, how it impact the SDG. SDG is Sustainable Development Goals, which is a global goals that the United Nations proposed back in 2015. Back in 2015, before 2015, actually, after the Millennium Development Goals, also by the United Nations, seems to be not achieving 100% the objective. So United Nations looking into the direction of having a much more inclusive development goals that apply to everyone. So this involves everyone. If anyone in this world would say that, oh, I don't care about SDG, but we are part of it. We who are living in this world supposed to get involved. It doesn't matter how big or how small our role, we play a role in that sense to promote SD, in short, sustainable development. In one sense, whether the target of the United Nations of the sustainable development, in that sense, it not necessarily involve economics only, business, but it involve everything else inside there, where the 5P that everyone, or especially the United Nations, are proposing, talking about having a much more better planet, where the people is there, prosperity to be shared and inclusive, with partnership and peace all over. So this is the 5Ps that they try to achieve in the end of the day by 2030. So now we are in 2022. This is the global goals. Certainly on the country level, everyone are concerned about that too, including Malaysia. And also on the business side, we're talking about ESG today. Lot other than the CSR, we have the ESG and whatnot related to that, which actually link back to sustainable development. So with the pandemic, with the digitalization, how actually this development goals actually been affected or under threat in that sense. My question down there was, has the pandemic accelerated the needs of SDG? Means that, have the pandemic actually pushed the SDG into more, rather than actually making it much more in the negative section? Means that the impact of it more negative, or actually we are thinking about we should be much more responsible society. You should be becoming much more in that sense. In one of the SDG, perhaps, and I'm sure everyone knows this one, the SDG talking about sustainable production and consumption, sustainable production and consumption, or responsible consumption and production, which is very much linked towards what we produce and what we consume, that will impact the world, that will impact the development in that sense, whether we're sustainable. of what we are doing here, right? So, and all of these actually are very much linked back to what they proposed at the beginning of this 5 Ps. Whoa, raining, the other side. All right. So anyhow, coming back into that particular direction, or this particular thing is that this is actually a report, not by me, the report that to see actually where are we in order to achieve the sustainable development goals, right? They started off officially in 2015, and at the beginning no one talks about SDG, but I think for the past 4 years, especially in 2018, 2019, everyone want to get involved in what is SDG, including the universities, right? Because we have the SDG ranking for the universities today, that every universities are concerned about whether we really conserving, conservation, environmental friendly, and whatnot, and related to that, right? So this is so-called like a kind of ranking. Green color means it's good. The description is over here. Green color means that you are towards that particular direction, on track of maintaining achievement. It's rather interesting to see this part actually are quite green in that sense. There's a lot of reds here still, decreasing and so on. And this the report which is available, we can easily track this report, but this is based on SDG 4. SDG 4 is very much related to what I'm doing. Related to quality education, not just to promote free education, but to promote education for all. To promote education for all, ensure that everyone have a chance to go to school, in that sense. And you can see this part of it. If you see Malaysia here, it seems to be orange in color, but Indonesia seems to be green in color, means that they are really moving towards that particular direction. Orange color means that it's stagnant. This is the report, not from me again. Can always refer to this report, to this page. This is based on SDG 8. SDG 8 related to decent work and economic growth. Very much, again, biased towards my field, especially, that talks about the whole world here looking into the direction of yellowish in color and green in color, especially for Malaysia and Indonesia. This was even this report was this report updated quite often, but this was last year, 2021. So they also factor in the pandemic, but not yet that the impact perhaps is not there, not that much factoring in yet. If we see the report for this year, 2022, by the end of the year, perhaps when they come out with another fulfilling report, then we'll see how perhaps something would change, whether the pandemic really affect, which supposed to, with which expectation, but how we're going to mitigate that particular thing, right? And how this link to what I'm trying to talk about, because it's very much linked to SDG, very much linked to digitalization, the process of digitalization, going into that direction to promote more inclusive growth, right, for everyone, right? That's just the 2 SDG. The others you can always refer to this diagram or this what you can see based on that, right? Yeah, this report is there. It's written by this part. You can, if you click through, you can see the report actually published there. This is 2021. Going to that direction, it says this is ASEAN country performance. In terms of that, in terms of ranking, they have the ranking. It seems to be Thailand is on top of it. This is the colored here related to the SDG 1 until SDG 17. Right, where are they in that particular direction? And see, Malaysia is there, or this is ASEAN itself, not ASEAN, ASIAN, because including China, including Sri Lanka is there, and the other country, Bhutan, Maldives is also there. This is so-called that you can easily rank them and see how it looks like in that sense. Again, talking about ranking. Right? On the ground might be a little bit different story, but this is based on the ranking of what they achieved, what they reported country level itself. Right? Part number 4, which is very much related to what I'm trying to say, how I try to link all these things up together. Trying to bring you the picture at the beginning of we are living in the VUCA world, and why that happens even before the pandemic, especially on the machine. When the machine rise, there's a lot of issues talking about that, but now it seems to be that's no longer the talk of the world today. Pandemic is the talk of the world today. So how pandemic and digitalization are linked together? I'm looking into the perspective of academia perspective, especially, and I'm sure all of you here would be able to look into another different perspective of maybe from technological point of view, or from the other point of view itself, right? This is not originally from me. You can easily Google and found it. Who led the digital transformation of your company? How these two are linked together, especially this past 3 years, right now coming into 3 years, is that this picture says that it's actually COVID-19 actually push further digital transformation, whether you are the SMEs, whether you are medium size, whether you are big size company. It's rather important, especially in the times of pandemic. When the time of pandemic, we still going on. We are still doing this, what we call as webinar today. It's a famous word. It's not a famous one in 2019 or before that, but now it seems to be very common to talk in front of your computer, in front of the screen, without any crowd in front of you. Just imagine the other day, but online in that sense. So let's push towards that particular direction more and more. Perhaps because of the COVID-19, perhaps because of that. I mean, surely the CEO, everyone plays an important role, but COVID-19 push further. And this is the report actually come out in McKinsey, I think should be back in 2020 or early 2021, that talks about what happened, right? The necessity of digital transformation, especially for business longevity, right? And it's go digital or go dark. The choice is that if you stay at home, doing the business at that, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, where the world are in lockdown position and everyone goes virtual, it's very, very important that a lot of things have changed and have been changing right now. There's a paradigm shift more towards digitization or digitalization itself, right? To digitalize, like I said just now, the whole business process itself, and which is not easy. When I mean, a lot might say that it's not easy for SMEs because they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the investment, they don't have the money. But look into another different perspective. It might not easy also. It is not easy also for the big firm, which do not really participate in digital transformation. If they're not participating before the pandemic, it's not easy for them to just turn just like that. Despite that, perhaps they have the asset, they have the money, but it's not easy to change people's mindset. Perhaps it's easy to have the infrastructure, but if no one is using the infrastructure, there's no point. Right? I mean, the same case goes in the education in the universities, right? So this is actually a report by them. They showcase that this is going into that direction. It's there, and it has been there even before the pandemic, but now it seems to be moving faster and faster. Right, the healthcare, we have already all the apps of telehealth itself. You monitor yourself, you report, and so on and so on, and then perhaps you talk to certain qualified MD itself, and so on. And the real estate also moving into that particular direction. Also, you have I mean, all these co-working spaces. It's already there. The financial service, right? We have the central bank, I think a few months back, have just approved digital banks for the country. So this is something really moving forward into that direction, right? And we have more to come after this, not just having a digital bank, but more to come in terms of that. And retail already there since even before the pandemic, but now moving more into that direction. We can buy things, everything online today, not just Shopee itself or any other apps, but in looking into that particular direction. Manufacturing, which I'm sure most of you perhaps getting your hand dirty inside there, and I mean related to construction itself and so on. So moving into also that particular direction, which a need of digitize or digitize your business, the need of it, it seems to be there, right? You can have the two world, one of the digital world, one of this real particular world, surely in that sense. So and again, the question of the in the earlier beginning, the cities around the world try to create what they call a smart city. Everyone get involved, not try to have that kind of infrastructure certainly first, and try to have that kind of a dream to have this in the future. In the very near future, I can foresee that. Right, they can start off with. They have been around. A lot of cities are moving into that direction. We already have the so-called smart street light. We already have smart parking. Education is going into that direction very fast. Perhaps in the future, traffic management, Internet of Things is there, public safety, and so on and so on. Everything are linked together in so-called a smart city itself in the very, 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 very near future. And what we need to do, whether actually the question is that whether actually the COVID-19 has pushed this thing further, faster, and the need of it. and this is how I link digitalization and the COVID itself, right? This was the survey again from the report by McKinsey that talks about to stay competitive in this new business and economic environment, the required strategy and practice. One of it is digital adoption. This is according to them from the survey that done, especially in the times of COVID, especially, and how actually is have the COVID actually have ensure that the digitalization process are moving much more faster. And we talk about consumer experience today, right? Try to produce a better consumer experience from the digital point of view, from the other point of view also. So it's very, very important channel of like 10 years back, perhaps we shop at the shopping malls and so on. Today, we still go. Some like myself, I still go to the shop and buy certain products. But we also have the option of going online and buy the products and so on. So these have been accelerated very fast, even before the pandemic, but now moving much more faster towards mobile shopping, mobile and a lot more into the particular direction. So in the future, everything can be done inside the phone, if we have been we are doing it right now. So and same thing applied to the business and from the other perspective. Right? This is from my perspective. And again, this is their report also is that it says that during the crisis, especially in the COVID, the more successful organization report a range of technology-related capabilities than the others. Like means that with those with a technological ready would be able to achieve more in that sense. Like suddenly, this is the experience from the university point of view. I'm sure Kismet would have much more, also have a deep same sets of thing here in the university. When we were forced and asked to teach online back in 2020, I still remember March 2020, the lockdown, we only expect 2 weeks. And then after a series of lockdown until June 2020, you say we have to start the class, but we're doing it online. Then We look at the equipment that we have, especially at home. We have our laptop. I have my laptop, but my laptop might not be so ready in that sense. I don't have a proper camera. I don't have a proper like this thing, and so on and so on. So slowly we try to channel into that particular direction. And same thing goes, I would be able to know that something goes to any other business that involved in any other sectors slowly. And we get used to that slowly for the past 2 years. That's what the channel of uh, technological transfer in that sense, or education transfer in that sense, for the past 2 years. And this is an alternative, or perhaps going to be a permanent in that sense, beyond COVID-19 itself. And this from academia point of view. Just now from more on the reality point of view, this is from academia point of view. I just searched these two words from Scopus page. Scopus.com academia would be how many actually published work, especially on that's already appeared in the academia, academic perspective. I found that it's about 1,000 plus publication so far, especially even up, although we are in 2020, 2022 right now, but the publication is already moved forwards 2023, and it's a lot more actually towards this digital health, actually, right? Logistic also, and a lot more, actually very much interesting in that sense. And this is one that published in 2020, talks about what sort of technology that we use, especially COVID-19, right? One of it is certainly what we are using right now, Microsoft Teams here, and a lot more actually, right? The technology that we use, especially, right? From Zoom up to Microsoft Teams, up to Google Meet, up to WebEx, Cisco WebEx, or WebEx Cisco, and the other one that I'm using also at that particular time, certainly, as we don't forget our Skype. I'm using Skype also, especially interview in RTM. They usually use Skype in RTM when they do interview with me. What else did I use? I also use VOOV. It's actually by a Chinese company, Tencent, biggest internet company in China. And a lot more others that I've been using. Discord, actually more on gaming, and this kind of platform for video conferencing and related. It's very interesting. It's something new. 2019, I would not know all these things, but right now it seems to be very common and very usual for us. Right. So moving into the also direction, this is a paper published in 2022 that talks about how actually digitalization lives in Malaysia. How actually digitalization and pandemic itself, management pandemic, have moved into that direction. This is not. This paper is actually published in this one journal. It's quite a good journal. This one more towards of how the management of the COVID-19, especially for Malaysia perspective, and they talk about what the government actually have done on the digital front, introducing like MySejahtera and related things, how of contact tracing and so on and so on. This is the paper is all about. Right? If you want to read more, you can easily download, or because it's free. The paper can be accessed for free, right? The last part, talking about sustainable, or charting the sustainable future for all of us, or if not for all of us, for your own firm, for your own company, for your own business, and so on, for ourselves. How are we going to foresee the future with what we have today? And again, I link back to, because I'm myself more involved in academia, or link myself back into again, link back to sustainable development, link back to CSR, and also link back to this part of it. Talks about ESG, which is environment, social governance, which is linked closely to sustainable development goals, and linked closely to what a lot of big firms, not just the big one, smaller ones, are going into that direction also. Whether the product that you produce are supposed to have green tech, environmental friendly, whether it's give give back to the social side, and what sort of governance mapping, or what sort of governance that we have towards this particular direction. So this is all the SDG here, how they map the SDG into the pillars of the SDG and link that to ESG, more towards the firm, and which is linked towards the CSR, and link back to what we are doing as an individual. Right? As an individual, we don't have to go far. We have an individual itself, how actually we can have a responsible consumption, responsible production itself. This again, I love to touch this SDG 12 especially, and what we can actually do on our own self itself, rather than looking into much more bigger picture, our own individual role itself. Anyhow, this is something we can always discuss further, and in the end, right, in the end, I'm going to end, I think, a few more slides here. So that I like this quote actually, that given some more than 100 years back, that talks about that talks about I mean, what we have today, still relevant of what we have today, what we are having today, is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent that survive. It is the one that the most adaptable to the change that will survive. So we need to change. The business need to change. The economy need to change. The politicians need to change. The people need to change. Everyone need to change for the better future. We must go together towards a direction. Even so, how we move into that direction perhaps might be different, but as long we can adapt, human can adapt. That's why we survive this pandemic. This is not the end of the human race, surely, and there will be more crises like this going to happen. But it seems to be very dark for this 2022, especially very uncertain global geopolitics outside there. But we need to adapt. We need to change. We need to agile. We need to change very fast, as what they say the beginning of VUCA. So adaptable to change is very important, right? And this one was also another topic that given from the academic point of view, changing with the time, digital platform as a holy grail during the crisis. So this is what they say, not me. Published in 2022, quite recent actually, that talks about how business perspective, how business environment, how business entity could still be sustainable, especially towards especially in this pandemic time, and towards one of the solution actually going digital. Not easy, never easy, but that's the direction that everyone is going into, right? Join the big crowd, going to the same direction. Perhaps you'll learn from each other. That's also very much important. And finally, is that this is my key message for the past 40 minutes or so. We are living in the VUCA world. Embrace, look for opportunities. The pandemic have actually pushed the urgency for agility, adaptability, transformative, more into digital front. More actually, everyone is talking about that. Including the country, including Sarawak itself. What good is that we have started this journey of digital transformation way before the pandemic. Should be continue on. And moving forward in that sense. And the SDG actually, for me, can be serve as a solution for global commitment for the 5 Ps, and could be a very good guide for us to follow. Right? It's a guide, not necessarily you have to follow you achieve sustainable development, but it's a guide at least to achieve what we're supposed to do. Whether in the country level, like I said just now, whether it's an entity level or whether it's an individual itself. Sustainable future actually lies on what we are doing today. So surely along the way, we're going along the way in the journey, we have to promote a sustainable, inclusive, and responsible future for everyone, right? I think with that, Thank you very much for the opportunity here. And if you have any things that you want to discuss, we can always discuss whether in private or whether here, or whether if you have any kind of collaboration. I would love to have any kind of collaboration which any one of you think that I can contribute in that sense. With that, thank you very much again. I think I'll pass back. Where's my I stopped this sharing. I'll pass back the floor to the to you.
Okay, sure.
Dr. Kismet.
Okay, pass the button to me, yeah. Okay, very interesting presentation, talk from you. Perhaps it's about time for us to to open the floor, ask question to our presenter, Associate Professor Dr. Evan Lau. Any question from our members? Ada soalan? Jangan malu-malu, don't be shy. You can, if
Okay,
you
Dr. Evan,
yeah, please.
Okay, anyone top? No, okay, I start first.
Okay,
Dr. Evan,
sure.
I have one question. On the, just now you have showed us on the SDG rating ataupun dia punya ranking among the country. If you look, Malaysia, the rating is about 70.88. But if Thailand is at 74.19, I still okay lah. I can still accept lah. Yang Thailand is more advanced from Malaysia. But we are behind of Vietnam. So what your comment about this? Apa yang kenapa Vietnam is more rating better than Malaysia on the SDG? Maybe based your study ke experience, can you share with us?
Thanks, TS Zawawi. Oh, no, the chair. Anyhow, I think what is interesting, again, when you go back to this, ranking can be very, not to say tak betul lah. Ranking is just if they achieve, I mean, they have certain factors inside there, certain variable inside there that they achieve. From overall point of view, this is my comment. This is how I will respond. I think for overall point of view, look into that. Vietnam perhaps perform better in that sense in terms of achieving the SDG. You have to be very clear on that part. Not to say that they are much more performing overall better than us, but perform better to achieve the SDG. That can lies into several things. But if you look into Vietnam itself, I've been to Vietnam a few times. I think way before the pandemic itself. I've not been there for quite a while now. As we all know, some parts of our clothing actually come from there. They produce there other than China. They manufactured it, including shoes, including some kain batik, come from there. So
Sport attire,
sport attire also a lot actually come from there. So use that as the example. It have been around for quite some years. Kenapa tak produce dekat Malaysia? Kenapa dia produce di Vietnam? Perhaps maybe the cost is cheaper in that sense, like what a lot being produced in China itself. We talk about mass production. So perhaps that's one of the reason itself towards that particular direction. If I use that as the example. Other than that, saya tak berapa. But overall itself, as I said, maybe in terms of achieving it, they are really moving very fast. Vietnam, I would say that the last I've been there, I think 5-6 years back, they're really moving very fast towards what they try to, especially in terms of moving their economic value itself. That include in education. Kalau dalam education, I can comment more because in education, the university dekat sana, most of the universities there right now, not right now, even before the pandemic, they're not looking into ASEAN anymore. They're looking outside. A lot of foreign, European universities, US, they do collaboration and so on. Dia tak tengok sangat ASEAN. Dia tak tengok Malaysia pun in that sense. Sorry to say this part, but that's the reality. Indonesia really looks up to Malaysia a lot. Kalau Indonesia, but not really Vietnam. They're different set of things, but their manufacturing side, I would say that they are booming even before the pandemic. I'm not sure right now, right? But I'm sure they've been affected because of this pandemic. But perhaps that's the reason behind of achieving the SDG, not to say overall comparatively we should still be better than them, but perhaps it's not for long. We're no longer, top performance country in ASEAN. That's the reality we have. But we can do much more better after this, right? Thank you very much for that.
Okay. Thank you for answering the question. Okay, any more question? Any question? We still have another 5 more minutes. One or two question or couple of question for Dr. Evan. Jangan malu-malu. He can understand Iban language as well, or dialect as well.
Can.
Yeah.
Bahasa Melayu Sarawak pun boleh.
Bahasa Melayu Sarawak pun boleh. Jangan malu-malu lah. We try to make it informal as possible. Sharing session. All right. Any more question? Oh, malu dia orang ni.
This topic is about some economy but related
Yeah.
on the technology. I think yalah, this kata orang is the idea on this, tapi we as technology we need to deliver lah apa yang yang ni kan Dr. Evan kan dia on talking about the surface punya ni lah kan. You said tadi ada develop on the some apps ke apa tadi yang you mention tadi on this part, Doctor, on your side. Any technology related to this to measure ke apa ke yang you mention at the earliest
on
presentation.
If it's on my personal side, I don't have that, but I'm sure they I mean, what I'm trying to say just now was digitalization or the technological advancement actually ada banyak apps yang sudah develop, I mean on whatever sense lah, including health sekarang dalam health, dalam kesihatan pun a lot of things like our on our My Sejahtera and related apps. A lot more others, to know whether we are healthy, to know whether, I mean, but semua tu jawab questionnaire lah. Di dalam sana tu macam dalam My Sejahtera. Not only that, actually I think a lot of that is on health, our personal health. Ada juga in terms of financial health. Financial health. Dia pun ada apps. I mean, a lot of apps today, financial health, or even you ask our agent, insurance agent, or financial agents, they will give you some question to answer. They say, you are financially healthy, answering this, or say you okay, this one okay, and so this is what you are going into right now, and in the future, more of this thing will come out. Not just in terms of our own health, financial health, but everything. Semua sudah ada in our fingertips. Answering this, we say that, okay, you're okay. Or psychological test dulu sudah ada. It exists long time ago, but right now it's in the form of apps, and a lot more apps coming up. And I'm sure most of you here as a technologist, you try to get involved in that sense also, and how you have certain type of indicator. Indicator mungkin katakan kalau you have this, then you achieve this. Have this, have that, you achieve that. Then you can say that, you are like this, or you are that, or some would argue about green technology and whatnot. What is green technology? What's the indicator behind, and what's the implication towards? So a lot of these things can be very the subjective thing. What I'm trying to say, the subjective things can be very objective in right now and in the future. Means that we can measure it. You can measure, like like all of you here as a technologist, what sort of technologies TS that you involved in? So it can be measured. And I'm sure kalau tidak boleh di-measure, you will not get your TS. You know, it's something very subjective. You cannot. It must be very objective.
Yeah,
you can. So that's what I'm trying to say here. But saya tak develop anything. It's just that, you know, the idea is there and more to come after this. Right? Mungkin ada soalan.
Ya, ada soalan. Surprisingly, Vietnam surpass China and Singapore. Do you think they need to start the benchmarking Vietnam for our education? they actually, Vietnam University, they sending their lecturers for overseas to go overseas for their studies, PhD and so on. That is the cream of the cream. They send it over to prestigious university, get their qualified. I mean, PhD especially. They are very good. Apa dia?
Vietnam ada hantar ke Mas tak?
So far, as what mentioned by Dr. Evan tu memang betul. Dia tidak pandang pun Asian countries. Dia apa paling pun dia pandang Japan, Korea. Itu banyak orang Vietnamese lah. Yang they are very brilliant student, no? Very brilliant.
Yeah.
And they publish quite a good paper lah, I would say.
Yes, I'm sure Kismet will know that more.
Betul. I agree with you.
In terms of technology pun diorang tak ketinggalan.
Betul. I agree. I've been visited Vietnam, and their connectivity, to be honest, much better than Sarawak, I would say.
The internet connection.
Internet connectivity lah. Mereka they even pergi ke cucu tunnel, if I'm not mistaken. 4G, 4G boleh masuk dalam hutan.
Cuci tunnel.
Cici tunnel lah. 4G. Sarawak belum lagi 4G ada tunnel.
Dalam tunnel lah.
Yeah. Very good connectivity. Dalam bus ada Wi-Fi. Dalam bus ada Wi-Fi free.
Kita ada tapi selalunya tak dapat connect saja. The infra is there.
One prefecture to another prefecture. Dia ada bus, let's say 3 hours to 6 hours journey. Memang Wi-Fi di dalam bus tu memang free. So no need for you to subscribe SIM card ke apa.
It's
free.
Yeah, you have that experience, which is also good. But I think I can say that kalau in terms of education pun, I think the UBS, Unimas Business School, UBS actually looking into the direction of Vietnam also. We now want to move to Vietnam, not Vietnam move to us.
Correct.
So it's the other way around, you know.
Yeah, we try to get student
from Vietnam to come here, like what which is true, because Prof needs dia orang they're very working very hard to penetrate into Vietnam. Bukan Vietnam penetrate Malaysia sekarang, the other way around. So we can look in very different potential market, big market.
And mentality of Vietnamese, they are very dedicated person, very dedicated to the work. And surprisingly, one of my schoolmate now lecturer in Vietnam University.
Good.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Now kita sudah 3:30. Okay. About time for us to ni apa di mana saya punya mouse ni. Okay. I believe there's no more question, Dr. Evan. So it seems like we have covered all questions. So before we wrap up, anything that you want to You want to make summary kah? Apakah? Say something, Dr. Evan?
Yeah, like I say in the beginning just now, I'm very fortunate, honored to be here, and hopefully I hope we can find some, can find some kind of further collaboration that we can do. I think with APTT, of how I can contribute to the association, although I'm not I'm not TS, but I can contribute in that sense, and to further develop the association and so on, to contribute back to the society and to the country itself, and so on, to the state itself, right? So again, thank you very much.
Maybe you can put one program specially for technologies for them to get MBA. Just how utilize their knowledge in technologies in MBA.
Yeah, and embedded it into business, transform it into business.
Nowadays is talking about social business, kan? Everything that kind of business lah, kan? How technologies can be part of the economies ataupun business.
Okay,
under your
can.
program.
All right, you can propose that to my that one to the faculty
Management.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, to the management. Thank you.
Okay. Therefore, I would like to invite our chairman, Association of Professional Technician and Technologists, APTT, Technologist Engineer Ahmad Zawawi, to present the certificate to our presenter, Associate Professor Dr. Evan Lapohock. Bell, over to you. Where is the certificates? Virtually.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you to Associate Professor Dr. Evan Lau on your contribution today. I think it's good topic because we're not talking about technologies only, but the technologies in term of dari segi digitalization and in term economic lah, in term of scale kan, something yang we need to mix lah, maksudnya technologies and dengan ekonomi ni kena selari lah. Thank you very much for your time, Doctor.
Okay. Before we wrap up, I would like to invite everybody to switch on your camera for our photo session sebagai kenang-kenangan lah. So, Bell, over to you, Bell. Miss Bell. Touch up sikit rambut.
Everyone open their camera.
Touch up rambut. Take off your mask. Or just for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, Bell, over to you.
Hold on, ya.
Ada hitung kah? 1, 2, 3 kah? Oh, belum. Tunggu ya, tunggu perempuan mesti mau lama sikit. Muka lagi.
Okay. Ready? 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right.
Okay.
Alright.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks again, Associate Professor Dr. Evan, for answering all our question and for the great presentation.
In the attendance.
Oh yeah. Okay. On behalf of our APTT committee members, we appreciate your presence, and we hope that you have learned or enjoyed this webinar. Thanks again for joining us today. We will see you next time, and stay safe, everyone. Okay, see you next time. Okay, bye-bye, everyone.
Attendance dulu, jangan lupa.
Attendance ya, attendance. Where is the link?
Where's the link? I will email the registered participant the survey form. So from there, we will get everyone's information. I will send. That is for the certificate lah.
Baiklah.
Oh, this means we need to fill in the form lah.
Ada
form. The registration form tadi sudah fill in kan?
Sudah.
Okay, so with the registration form, later we will send another survey form. So you fill in that survey form. Only then we can issue a cert for you lah.
All right, thank you.
All
Okay,
right.
so the is it the feedback form means that it is also count as the attendance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They will prepare certificates for you.
All right, thank you
E-certificate,
very
yeah,
much.
e-certificate.
Mm.
Okay. All right, please apa nama survey lah, fill in the survey. Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. Okay. Stay safe, everyone. See you next round of our webinar. Okay. Okay, Belle. Bye. Thank you, Belle.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Hello, Bell. On